Hello viewers, welcome to another episode of Unsung Heroes. I am Robert Ogola, your host. We have been here for a while now from Smile Foundation Kenya talking about Unsung Heroes. Today we have a guest. He will tell us his story. I have been changed by most of the stories I've had from most of our guests, and I know you will also be changed. Help me welcome Fred in our program. Fred, Karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Mr. Robert, for having me.
Asante. Yes. Tell us where you're coming from. Who is Joy Divine?
So I'm Fredrick Mwaura, but most people call me Fred, from Joy Divine. We've been in existence since 1999, and we've catered for various vulnerable groups over the years. We started out with orphans, then street-connected children, then internally displaced people after the post-election violence. Then we started cooking for street-connected families in Mlango Kubwa, along Juja Road. Then came COVID. We partnered with different organizations, and they gave us the opportunity to reach out to vulnerable members of the community by distributing both dry foods and fresh vegetables. But also we started working with differently able children by giving out mobility aids and giving them also an opportunity to join schools. COVID season brought a lot of issues with teenage pregnancies, underage children as young as 13 years of age becoming pregnant. So we've supported a number of them to go back to schools, and instead of them going to the streets. So we've shifted more towards being preventative, doing a preventative approach in terms of the Street Children Challenge. And also we've shifted also as an organization from being an orphanage to a kitchen and a food bank, because we have to start first with the food security before you even talk to a child about going back to school, going back to their rural homes. So it starts with the food.
Whoa, that's a very long list of activities. You people have been in the task for 26 or so years. I want us to take the viewers on your journey. Take us through that journey slowly, because they say the journey of 1,000 kilometers begins with one step. So that people don't think that you can just start and become. This is a platform to encourage people to respect process. 26, 27 years into what the foundation has become. Tell us where you started and what inspired you to go to the next point of action, the next group of people, the next, how can we put it, the next people to serve. You've served people in the streets, you've served orphans, you've served. How did you get there?
As the saying goes, charity begins at home. So the founder of Joy Divine is my mom. She's a pastor. And all her 5 children had finished school. God had been gracious enough and kind enough to enable her, being a single parent, to ensure all her children have finished school. So it was immediately after we just finished school, and she had a burden to take care of orphans. So she was introduced to 2 boys from Ruiru area in Kiambu County, who are the father had killed the mother and the father committed suicide, and they were on the streets of Ruiru and they were scavenging, and they had kwashiako, yellow hair, bulging eyes.
True.
And she got a letter from the chief and well wishes, and the children came to live with us under our roof.
Yeah.
So the first thing to do was just make sure that these children regain their health. So it was medical attention and ensuring that they get a proper meal. So it was my first instance to see a hungry fellow Kenyan. So before you put the food on the ground for them to eat, they've already grabbed it. And that's how bad it was.
Yeah.
And God has been gracious enough. These two boys finished high school, and both have started their families, and they were the first children we started with.
Wow.
Then also she was a business lady in the Outer Ring Road, Kariobangi roundabout area, but at the Kiameko site.
Yes.
She had a hardware and a shop, and there was a community called Kambimoto. So Kambimoto is Swahili for a hot camp. and the meaning of the hot camp is that it was a slum within Kiameko that every other time would burn, the houses would burn down.
Okay.
Yeah, and for her having a hardware shop, she'd intervene and give out iron sheets, the nails, and building materials.
True.
And it was an area where also HIV prevalence was so high, and there were so many widows with young ones who were HIV positive and very sickly. So she started a porridge program for the mothers and their children, and she started giving them small jobs, cleaning up the compound and the likes. Then she extended an extra floor on top of her building to be a kitchen and a multipurpose hall and a small church, and she started ministering to these families.
Whoa.
Yes.
Your mother has a big heart. I want us to know. Tell us how you received these two strangers, you as a family, you as your mother's children. How did you receive these two strangers in the family?
It was nothing new for our family because my mother has been a resident of Mathare, and she's grown up in a tough upbringing. Her first two children were born and they had the same situation these two boys had gone through. Our first two born, the firstborn and the second-born brothers had kwashiako, marasmus, and they were malnourished because of the challenges where my mom was brought up. So it was a burden that God had put in my mom's heart because she knows what it means to go without food.
Yes.
She knows how it is to have your own children malnourished. You know, she knows what it means to lack. So it's just a burden that God had put in her heart. To do something, to open our doors and take an extra. There are millions of orphans in our country, and these orphans ended up being on the streets of Ruiru. And the best she could do was to take them in and put them back in school after they regained their health and support them.
Yeah. Before we go to the next thing, I am curious to know from the two boys or two gentlemen who joined your family.
Yeah.
Of course, eventually they became part of your family. Have they been able to come out to help mom in this venture?
Oh, that's a very good question. And they eventually, when we empowered them, we put them in a situation where they could go out and help their own families. Because eventually one day we were able to go to a place called, I think, Kwamaiko in just off Ruiru, inside the Kiambu County, and we reconnected them with their grandparents.
So
but that didn't come immediately.
Okay.
That came years later after we had to do home visits and do inquiries and find out where they're next of kin. So seeing these two children also reconnected back to their
family,
their blood relatives, I'd say it was a win for us. Yeah, and eventually also we realized that the member of parliament of Kiambu town had also taken the brothers' siblings and supported them. So it was different Kenyans coming together to support these two children. Our family took in these two children. The member of Kiambu town, member of parliament, took the other siblings, and eventually this family was restored.
Separate, no, 2 siblings or 4 siblings from the same family?
I think there were even more, because I can't recall how many there were.
Okay.
But different people, different Kenyans, just came on board and supported this family, just to restore them back to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apart from doing a feeding program, how did it grow from these two boys into now the community, into now Joy Divide?
So eventually, come 2003, and a new government came into power after having a previous regime that had been in power for over 24 years. Yeah. And this new regime came in with a social changes.
Yes.
So they introduced free primary education. They started introducing things like school feeding programs. So all the children who had been coming for a porridge program at our small facility took advantage to join these schools.
Okay.
So she then approached then Mayor of Nairobi, Mr. Joe Okech, and said, we still want to help and partner with the government to help street-connected children. And it was a very interesting time, because then I think he was the PS of the late Karisa Maitha, was having, the government was having, driving out street children from the streets of Nairobi.
I can remember.
Putting them in social halls.
Yes.
So we went to Kayole Social Hall, and the government by then wanted us to take big boys. But I advised my mother, no, let's start with the small ones. True. So we took in the small children, and the big boys were taken to the National Youth Service. So these small children from 31st of July 2003 up until 2017, 2018, a big chunk of these children ensured that they have finished both primary school and high school. And some of them went to do even mechanical engineering, some media specialists, some are ended up being successful in different professions.
Wow. Your mother is a hero. We will have her on set. But even before she comes, I want to know now your relationship with the street families. Having had a relationship with them in your mother's house, how is it now? Do they relate with you the same way? And are they now willing to join the bandwagon, even while they are on the streets, to want to change the stories of the people living with the same predicaments?
We will also have to be honest, because also over the years, some of the street children we took in, some relapsed and went back to the streets. That's the unfortunate part about that, about working with street-connected children, because a big number of them were addicted to drug abuse and substance abuse. But those who decided to stick in, we ensure they go as far as we can take them. I've ended up being almost like a celebrity with street families over the years, because they've known us from Juja Road, Mlango Kubwa, from the Dandora dam site
to Ruiru now.
So if, let's say, the road that is outside this building was Outer Ring Road, and a big garbage truck was to pass there, and it was full of young people at the top, all of them would know my name. They'd shout, "Hey, Mwaura, how are you?" So some people joke that I should probably run for political office, but what we do is not for the sake of running up for a political office.
It's not for
but we've built, I have built, and together with my family and Joy Divine has built a good relationship with street-connected families, street-connected children, government officials, with the chiefs, with their families. And interestingly, these children are not even mostly from the streets of Nairobi. Like the first two are just from, the ones we took in are from Ruiru. We have children from as far as South Nyanza, from Busia, from Taita Taveta, from the coast.
In those counties or in Nairobi?
All these children ended up coming to the streets of Nairobi. So eventually, even as we were ensuring that they go on with their studies, we would do reintegration. But it wasn't straight away, a reintegration that was straight away. I first did home visits. And I remember the first time I went to to Kisumu and South Nyanza.
Yes.
There was no Nakuru Highway. You see how Nakuru Highway is a smooth tarmac. The road was bad from Nairobi all the way to... It used to be a straight, rugged line. Yes, it was a straight, rugged line. We didn't even have any vehicle to assist us in the logistics. But eventually we did like home visits for all these children. And we ensured that eventually every child is reconnected with their next of kin.
How did you do this? You would sit them down, ask for that permission, because then I would imagine most of them would not want to go home.
That's very true. That's very true. So it's a matter of building the relationship. So first and foremost, we make sure that their stomachs are full. They have a bed to sleep on. They have a roof on top of their heads, and you take them to... We used to take them to village market, to the water park. So they just have a good time. But it will come a time where you would sit with them and have a serious conversation. Ask them, but are your parents still alive? Where is your home? Do you have a sibling? So eventually they'll start opening up. Then you'd ask their permission. Can we visit your home? We'll just visit, then we'll come back to Nairobi. So they don't resist. So eventually they started opening up. And I remember I'd go to Machakos country bus, get it into an Eldoret Express. All night we are driven all the way to Siaya.
You would then now become your escort.
Yes. Then we get to Siaya town, we take a boda boda. Boda bodas were bicycles. We didn't have boda boda motorbikes.
I can remember very well.
Yes. So and they'd take us to their village. Yeah, and they'd show us, this is where my father's been buried. This is where my mother's been buried. This is my uncle, and that is my former primary school. Then you'd look at the previous primary school, you'd see it's a school that is an all-mad school. Then you'd realize, you put this child in a school in Moi Forces Academy in Nairobi, and the top premier military school in the country, and you compare that with where you've taken them back, and you just make the decision that I'd rather go back to Nairobi.
Let me just go back with this, yes.
Ensure he finishes either Form 4 or grade 8 and see how far God will take us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a process.
Yes.
Dealing with people who have been on the streets for a while requires more than wisdom. It requires spiritual intervention. Because then I would imagine, if I'm to have that conversation with that child about him staying home or me going back with them to Nairobi, it will not be a comfortable conversation, because a lot of things would come out. Tell me how free are these kids? How open are they to be able to tell you some of their secrets? Because they have secrets.
That's a very good point, because some of the secrets is that eventually, let's say you assist a child they do well in KCP, or by then the KCP, they do well in high school, then they're called to a very good university. Then you go to the graduation, you thought that you're the only one who's assisting this child. There are no living relatives. There's no one.
Be shocked.
You'll be shocked the same way that Kenyans were shocked that Obama does not belong to the USA, but to Kenya. After he's become someone prominent and high status, you realize you are nobody. Relatives will come out from the woodwork, from every place, and they'd own up to this child. Oh, this is our child. You'd think that these are the relatives and the next of kin who paid school fees, who paid for the medical bills, who never slept in the middle of the night if there's an emergency. They'd come out from everywhere. So that's when you realize, there are people who let you do all the hard work, but eventually when there's a success, they come out.
They want to be a part of the success story. I have also learned through the street families that the reality of life comes out when you are not living in a comfortable place. Having had, let me say, I would call them sessions with people from the streets, I've seen how real they can paint a situation. And some of them would tell you, when I'm hungry. My body has arrested me and it wants food. I can't think about anything else. So there are two things. I would either ask or borrow food from someone, or if they don't want to give it, I'll just use my own justice to get it.
Yeah.
There are no two ways about it.
That's true.
So these people, most of them have been made to become very decisive. Wewe sahi kiulizwa, what's your 5-year plan? You will have to think. Nakwambia 5-year plan ya nini? Wewe niambie plan ya sahi nikwambie. They are very ready.
Yeah.
They are very intentional. There are a lot of qualities that we can pick from the street families. Share about what qualities, what characteristics or characters have you picked from the street families that works as a plus for you today?
As you've said, that eventually when they make the decision, they've truly made the decision. When they see, when you offer them stability, they will partner with you to ensure that they go on with their studies. When you build a relationship with them, they will, and you bring to them the issues about they eventually have to be reconnected to their next of kin. They will work with you in terms of that.
True.
Yeah. So I'd say that those are some of the, and the other thing would also over the years that Joy Divine has ended up getting an opportunity is being child advocates or speaking up for the rights of children in Kenya. And a number of these children have ended up being very vocal, very articulating the issues affecting other children. Because at first you had to fight for their rights. When you fight for their rights, they also get to know their rights and they end up speaking up for other children.
True.
Yeah, so they end up taking up leadership roles in their own capacity. Yeah.
How have you handled the health issue? Sanitation, health. It's usually a challenge because also that's another gray area. It's not easy for your own brother from this side of life to tell you that I don't have underpants.
Yeah.
Can you buy for me? How easy or how hard should we think it is for them now that already they know they are marginalized?
That's a very good point. And I'd say when the children came under our care, we went back to the basics. How to brush your teeth, table manners, how to use the bathroom. They'd line up and I'd wash them, from the smallest to the biggest.
You personally?
Yes. Yes. I had to get my hands dirty in terms of that.
Yes.
You know, we had to teach them how to wash their uniforms, how to clean up the table, how to wash the dishes.
Yes.
So it takes us back to the basics. Yes. But also over the years, we've had partners who've come on board and they're partners with us to offer them we've had a company like that would bring us their sanitary corporates would bring us sanitary towels, soap, toothbrush, toothpaste, and things like that. Because if you look at it, when you have over 100 children and they all need to go to school the coming days, and you need to get each and every one of them other toothpaste, toilet paper, collectively it ends up being very expensive, more than even paying the school fees. But we've had partners over the years who've come on board and helped us. Something else also, we've had a partner over the years. We've done like 5 major medical camps in Mlango Kubwa. So we'd partner with the Nairobi County Health Department, and they'd send nutritionists, send clinical officers, and our part would make sure we buy medicines, and we'd partner with the government to offer medical support for the street-connected children. And if there's like an issue that needs further attention, they'd either be sent to one of the referral hospitals and
Because of your growth and your intervention with the street families, could you say that Joy Divine has gotten to a place where you people have a daily activity that you do for the street families?
We've I'd want to mention first and foremost, like recently the Australian government came on board. I'm seated here, I used to be the biggest polluter in Mathare, because we'd cook for like 1,000 street connected children, and we'd use a lot of firewood. We'd use plastics, just anything that would spark.
I know.
And bring the fire so that we can cook for these many people. So they came on board and they've enabled us to get a commercial kitchen, so we can cook proper meals for street connected children. And not only for street connected children, but also we partnered with the government and the Red Cross when we had the floods to ensure so many people who lost their houses and their homes get a hot meal that is properly cooked, that is hygienically prepared. And that, so we even had the director of Red Cross sent us a letter just to tell us thank you. Because it was easy to give out cold meals instead of a hot meal. So even when you look about, I know you focused on this, on the street connected, but it has given us a capacity to go beyond street connected people. Because also in Mathare area, in Mathare community, we have so many teenage mothers. We have people, members of the community who are paralyzed. We have mothers with children with cerebral palsy. All these people have got needs, but we have now the capacity to cook for them hot meals. And not only are we giving them hot meals, but also we've been giving out dry foods. So even in seasons where we cannot cook for them consistently, Monday to Sunday, we have the capacity to give them a food pack that can last for 2 weeks.
Whoa.
Yes. You know, so, and we've partnered with different organizations that are giving us fresh vegetables. We also ended up becoming food rescue champions. So during COVID, food won't be exported out of the country. So these companies would call us and tell us, oh, we've got this much food. Can you distribute it before it goes bad?
Collect on behalf.
So since COVID to date, we've received food worth millions of shillings.
Wow.
It will be impossible for us to cook for all these people these meals, but it has changed our approach on how we'll reach out to our community, both street connected, both vulnerable members of the community, and we have the right equipment to even cook. And having been a charity for such a long time, we're also shifting towards being a sustainable organization. So now, not only are we thinking about cooking for street connected children, but we're also thinking now with us receiving a commercial kitchen from the Australian government, how can we get youth who want to get off the streets and give them catering skills, baking skills, you know, and for they themselves to cook for the other street connected people. So right now we're in a season where we're shifting more towards that, being sustainable, empowering other young people, because over the years we've been just the recipients. Give us food, give us money, we buy food. Give us money, we pay school fees. Now we are shifting. We even set up an hydroponics system now that we are also growing our own food. Yeah, it's been slow, but we are intentional about these changes that we want to implement. Yeah,
it's like you read my mind. I wanted to ask you before sharing that part. What is your thought? Because once you provide food for someone who is living in the streets or is vulnerable, once you provide food to them and you do it as often as you people do, on the first stage, they see it as a privilege. On the second stage, they see it as a right. Now, if you don't provide, they become something else. But also I think that if this food is present, then someone's lazy ego is being massaged. How then do we move these people from dependency to now being free, from depending for support, from becoming a beggar all the time? We have also done, we've also done, what do you call them? We've also distributed foodstuffs. We've also cooked food. We've given these people food for a long time, but we realized that the more you give them food, you add them another day in the streets. They don't want to leave that place. Who would want to leave a place where there is provision? No one. In fact, many people are attracting themselves into the idea of being destitute. Because once I'm destitute, people will run to help me. How do we solve that puzzle?
That's a very good point. Mathare is such a unique place because Mathare has got I'd say the biggest concentration of street families within Nairobi and maybe even in the country. And the interesting thing is that in our perspective and our approach, we've realized a big number of, be it the street connected people or even the youths or in the community, are either abusing drugs or alcohol.
True.
So they're dependents, they are addicts. But also we've realized that there are organizations like the government's organization, Mathare Mental Hospital, is offering support to these, the ones who want to kick off the addiction.
Yes.
But they cannot take the medicine without having some food in the stomach.
True.
So we'd rather come and partner alongside the government and make sure that as these people are trying to fight the addiction, we're giving them a meal to try to fight the alcohol or the substance abuse.
Yes.
So that's the first instance. The second instance is we have a big number of people, even street connected people, who are HIV positive. Yes. They have to take the ARVs.
Yes.
If they don't have a proper nutrition or proper food, it will whatever is meant to be helping their bodies will be doing more harm than anything.
Yeah.
So we go out there. We are fighting, so as we serve a hot cup of porridge or a hot plate of food, we are fighting against changa, we are fighting against spirits, we are fighting against jet fuel. So it is either, which will win? Is it the hot porridge and a hot meal that will fight or that will win, or is it changa, jet fuel, or the glue? So we've still got a lot of work to do. And ideally, that will mean that we'd want to serve more hot meals so that they don't need to consume these substance and drugs and alcohol. And we also go to the streets with our own agenda. So every time we connect with a street boy or a street teenage girl, we tell them, would you want to go back to school? Would you want to do a vocational training? Would you want for us to take you to school? Yes. You know, we also have an agenda. We are trying to put them off the streets.
Yes.
It is not easy. At times the ratio of, we might rescue 1 out of 10, but at least we've tried.
True.
You know?
True.
Yeah.
Have you had instances where the police was involved and they had to call you for rescue?
Oh yeah, when we used to run the orphanage, even in the middle of the night, the police will knock the gate and ask us, oh, we found this boy or girl loitering around. Can you host them for at least for the night? Then in the morning, we can see if the next of kin can be found.
Okay.
So we've had such instances, but we've also had instances where we've had to bury a number of, like every other weekend, we're burying a young street-connected boy because they're on the wrong paths with the police.
They are caught on a
so and the unfortunate part in Mathare with extrajudicial killings is that they shoot first, then ask questions later. Then as an organization, alongside other partners, we'd bury them and try to reason with the police later on. But, and that's why we're saying every time we go to the streets, we have an agenda. Can you go to school? Can you take up a vocational training? Can we reintegrate you? Because even you've had instances where the police give the young people on the streets warnings. We are giving you bus fare, go back home. So if they don't take the money and they go up country, they unfortunately end up passing on.
True.
And that's so sad.
It is.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to speak into the growing outlawed gangs within the slum areas? Because providing food, sanitation, and these kind of things is very key. You become a visionary, you become a parent, you become someone who is able to see the challenge and to address it. Have you been able to address the issue of rising gangs?
We've had forums either with government officials or government run. Actually, the government sends us letters or emails and ask us, can you come to Kisumu? Can you come to Mombasa? Can we sit down and talk about these situations? But the unfortunate part in Kenya is that every election season, they no longer become street children, they become numbers.
True.
Yeah, so that's when the different camps would ensure that these street-connected children end up getting IDs, end up getting voters' cards. And I remember a situation one day, there was a young guy, he's actually over 18, but he looks like a child. But because of stunting, he's not taller than this.
Okay.
Yeah, and one day I remember his ID was posted on social media, and people are saying, you see how the government is using street children to steal votes.
Oh yes.
But having been on the streets for over 25 years, I knew that he's not a child. These are the consequences of people not having nutrition or right food consistently. So he's actually stunted. He looks like a child.
But he's not a child.
He's not a child. You know?
Whoa.
Yeah. So those are some of the... and with the youths they are readily available, they can be misused so easily.
Yeah.
So it is so sad. But in the electioneering season, the different camps are not thinking. Kenya has that tendency of having an euphoria. You want your side to win, and you want to beat the other side. And if the other side wins, you say that they have used street children to vote for them. But it's a game of numbers, unfortunately. And you wonder, and eventually when the different camps take power, they totally forget these young people. You know? We've seen Mathare is one area that it is a hotspot. Right now, the women might be selling their cabbages, the people might be running their businesses, but within no time, there's a demonstration, there's a mandamano. The spark in Mathare is so fast. So we'd rather be peacemakers in our community and offer lasting solutions for these challenges than short-term. There's also short-term excitement.
Yes.
You come to the community, you promise heaven to these people, and eventually when you get into power, you totally forget them.
Yes.
Until the next election season.
Yeah.
And it's other promises. So we've seen it for such a long time that it is really so sad that we pray we get people who fear God and people who are compassionate enough to actually have genuine solutions for these young people.
I believe we have a leadership problem, not just in the country. It has transcended even down to the community, to the society, in the church. Because if we had leaders, correct leaders who had the ambitions of this kind of people, we would not be where we are. It's very easy for a politician to buy a street family person into doing a wrong thing just because he knows already you are living in the streets. So if I give you money to do theft, to disturb peace, this is what you do on a daily and no one pays you. Yeah. It's easy for that politician to do business that way. Have you had an opportunity to have to speak to a politician or an area leader like a chief or someone about such instances?
Oh yeah, over the years we've had opportunities to speak to the highest leadership in the country. Yes, and just tell them that we need lasting solution. And to take you back a bit, there's someone who's giving us some statistics recently that the more we have street connected people on the streets, the more it is easy for them to be recruited into terror organizations like Al-Shabaab.
True.
If we are not offering solutions, other people are seeing ready young people who can be recruited into illegal and dangerous things that will harm us as a country. So we actually need to move in fast and do something.
Beyond abusing drugs, have you had to deal with an issue of someone having an illegal firearm from the team that you have served?
Mathare area is known for having all different kinds of weapons. And it takes us back even to, like, there was a time the General Service Unit had to be mobilized to recover a firearm that had been stolen from one of the policemen.
Police stations, yeah.
Yes. So it is, we want to hope that whatever we are offering in the community is bringing peace, because as I was mentioning to you before earlier on, that we do things like medical camps. One of the things that we utilize to draw people to the medical camps would be a soccer tournament.
Yes.
And we bring in young people and young teams from different parts of, be it Madare, be it Kayole, and they'd come, and I'm telling you, the atmosphere that will be created over there would be such a fantastic atmosphere. And now we'd push our agenda that, you can go get a, see if you're HIV positive, you can get cancer screening, you can have, if it's a street mother, their children can be checked by the nutritionist.
Yes.
We try as much as possible to create the right environment, to get them off drugs, to get them off crime, and even using knives or any weapons.
Yes.
Yeah. And we also, we have a good relationship with the police. So every time we organize the soccer tournament, they'd be among the attendants just to see how exciting. Yes. And these young people are burning the energy, doing the right thing. So those are some of the things we try to offer to the community, and we try to engage different stakeholders to come up and talk to these young people and tell them about the dangers of getting into crime, the dangers of abusing drugs. So we have different partners, also different organizations on the ground, just telling these young people, don't use drugs, don't use firearms, go back to school, So we have, we may not do it ourselves, but we know the right people who can easily drive that message.
I mean, 27 years or so, you must have a relationship with all these different groups. Now, I want us to take the viewers back to where we started. You said you started giving food to members of the society who are not privileged. What is Joy Divine doing today, or say 2 years ago until today, different from where you started, and looking at what kind of an impact?
We'd say we've now shifted more towards being offering preventative services than just dealing with children who are already on the streets. And one of our approaches is like during the floods, we are supporting a hot porridge program in a community school. So this is a community school where almost 80% of their children, their houses was swept away
by floods.
So together with our church, Renewal Church, we were able to buy uniforms for these children and make sure that they are properly dressed and they're in school. And we started offering a hot cup of porridge because when these children would go home, they won't have a roof on top of their heads. They're sleeping out in the open, and their parents are still trying to scavenge whatever can be recovered to put up another structure, or they've been told they need to move to higher grounds. So they may not have another meal. So when they go to school, that cup of porridge might have been their dinner and their breakfast. And we thank God for the Nairobi County having the lunch program. So we thank God for that. But these are some of the interventions we're doing. We are going directly to schools. We are supporting them. We are making sure that kids who lost everything get back a properly equipped school bag, stationery, school shoes. And we partner with the school and the school administration just to ensure that these children go on with their studies.
You talked about giving them skills.
Yes.
How far has that gone? Has it borne any fruits?
We already have the infrastructure. We thank God for the Australian government for giving us the infrastructure. We have a different organization that gave us college seats. We have a multi-purpose hall. So we are recruiting now teachers who will be a teacher who's TVET certified. We know where the teenage mothers are in the community. So then the beneficiaries is not a problem. So it's just a matter of actualizing it. There's just a few things that are remaining for us to actualize that.
All right. From where you sit, what would be your advice either to this kind of societies and communities that help kids from the streets or underprivileged people in the community? What would be your advice to them going forward?
I'd say that we are actually in support of what the government is trying to implement. As I mentioned to you, we are no longer an orphanage, but we've shifted to being a kitchen and a food bank, and being food rescue champions and trying to grow on food.
Yes.
That if more families will open their doors to either foster a child or adopt a child or just take up a child and sponsor their education,
yes,
that will bring down the numbers of street children on the streets.
Oh, yes.
It's a matter of just as the Bible says in the book of James,
yes,
visit the orphan and the widow.
Yes.
In their time of distress.
Yes.
So it is the time of distress. Having worked in the community for so many years, I've seen churches that have conducted funerals for children who've lost their parents either to cancer. And I've seen people make promises. Oh, I will educate this child. I will sponsor this child. I will remain with this child. Then when you've buried the parent,
that is it.
And they come back to the community, now it's like a ping pong. So they're going around different, the aunties, the uncles, and all that. You wonder, you say that I was a witness. You say that the church said that they're going to do something about these children. They have done absolutely nothing.
Yes.
Or people have fundraised, but there's no resources going to these children. So that's the sad part about our society.
Oh, yes.
So that has also forced us now to intervene more to ensure that these children either go to a boarding school.
Yes. And
over the holidays, they are with at least a relative. But it is really painful. So if Kenyans open their doors and just took in a child, through the right channels, of course, either go to the children's department, go to the area chief and say, we can support, we can help here and there. Because over the years, we didn't think that one day we'll support over 200 children, either residential or by putting them through school. We did not think we had that capacity, but we've done it, and we're just one family. Now imagine if the millions of families in this country just open their doors to support these children.
Whoa.
They will have solved the problem.
Yeah. To solve the problem, it needs a community.
Yes.
Not an individual.
Yeah. And the African saying is that it takes a village to raise a child. So
if
we go back to our African settings,
that is where the solution is.
We have the solutions within ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah. Not to say that we don't need the outside support from outside, because they have the expertise, they have the resources. But if we opened our doors, if we took in a child, we'll make a difference in their lives.
Having worked with other organizations as a partner or in partnership to do what you do, can you say that this is the same conversations that other organizations are having, or every organization is selfish to their own interest?
That's a good point. I'd say even for Joint Venture, we've been selfish over the years. And in this perspective, when we took in the children from the government, from the Street Families Rehabilitation Trust Fund in 2003, that 1st of July 2003, our thinking was only the children within our four walls. We didn't have a thinking about the community. It is only during the post-election violence that when the World Food Program and by then the provincial administration chose us to say, oh, there'll be a truck coming from the industrial area, from the warehouses, and they'll be using your space to feed over 200 families whose houses burnt down. That's when the community
started
coming on mind.
Yes.
When we opened our doors more to take in another 5 children from the Limuru Red Cross camp, that's when our aspect about community started expanding. But before that, we weren't thinking about that. We were only supporting the children who were within our four walls. Then eventually around 2013, when all these children are already in boarding schools, in various schools, and we have space in the center, we started thinking, oh, along Jija Road, there are so many street families. Can we talk to the Father Mwaura? He's called Father Mwaura at St. Teresa's Parish, to give us their multipurpose hall to feed 1,000 street children. So when we did that, that's when we started realizing, oh my goodness, it's not only the 40 children at Joy Divine, but it's 1,000 people on the streets of Nairobi who need food consistently, who need medical attention. And further on, when we moved from the St. Teresa's Catholic Church to Mlango Kubwa community, and we had a different partner come on board and say, oh, we want to support you to do a medical camp. I'd never done a medical camp before. I'd seen them what they were doing in different parts of the country, but I said, I think it is doable. When we started doing the medical camp, we saw, that's where we started working with people like community health workers, the area chief. We not only were the street people, street connected people benefiting, but also the community members benefiting. So, but it took a while for us to get to that point of view. So I'd say there have been seasons where we've been selfish, thinking it is only this child and only this child. But remember, there's a family. This child is from a family. This child is from a community. There's a reason that made this child get off from the community to come to the streets, or from Mwingi to the streets of Nairobi. There's something that is pulling them to use drugs. There is a drug peddler. There's someone who's got an agenda to try to get as many children as possible to be addicted. So it is a communal issue. It is not an individual issue. It is not a single Joy Divine issue. It is an issue that is affecting all of us.
I have also seen that people who don't live in the streets have seen an opportunity to use the ones living in the streets, of course, like you said, to distribute drugs. Have you been able to handle such a case, or have you been able to have a conversation with one of these people?
That's a very good point, because I tell you, like when I used to do the street feeding program in Mlango Kubwa, we are actually cooking, prepping, serving food on this side. Then there's unfortunately a mother who's distributing and selling drugs on this side. So it is a competition. And that's where now the aspect about law enforcement comes on board. We are not law enforcers. So you cannot want to cross paths with that person, because you also don't know she's selling on whose behalf.
Someone else is supporting what she's doing or benefiting.
And we were having a discussion with my wife yesterday, and we were saying the glue or the jet fuel in Mathare area is more potent than in any other part of the country that has got street children.
So who is supplying that?
Just go to that simple aspect. The glue that this child is sniffing is more potent than the glue on the streets of Kisumu or Mombasa. So you wonder, what is in that is making these children more addicted than in any other area? I've traveled the country. The number of street-connected people who are immobilized, they have abused those drugs, they cannot walk, they're crawling on the street, on Juja Road, is higher than in any other area. So there's something that is being put in this. And I remember even one day, I had one of the human rights activists talk about the same issue. So there's something in Mathare. And that's where now the aspect about law enforcement comes on board. And it's not that the law enforcers do not know that. And the funny thing about Mathare is that here you have young different organizations, youth-run organizations doing street feeding programs, supporting them. Here you have Mathare Mental Hospital, which is the biggest and the best psychological
referral hospital in the country.
In East and Central Africa. And then here you have the best drug dealers in the country. So you see, there's a competition. Who's going to win? It's a circle. You might rescue one, but another is attached. Then they're taken to Mathare Mental Hospital. They get the right support.
It's a vicious cycle.
So who's going to win? How are we going to cut off this supplier from this equation so that at least we feed them properly and they get the medical support and they get reintegrated, or they get the empowerment programs? Who's going to cut them off? It's not us, because we don't have the capacity. We are not government. We're just helpers. We're partners to government. But this is what we are fighting against. And they're really strong, I can tell you that.
I know. I think there are people who are making a lot of money and profit out of these vulnerable communities. I've also learned that if you want to lead a people, you impoverish them first. You disable them so that the only help that they know is you. You blindfold them so that the only one who can lead them out of the city is you. You're the only one that does not have a blindfold. And I think it is time we start that conversation. A blind person cannot lead another blind person. A person who was made blind by another person so as to gain is also not genuine. I think maybe the conversation should hang around truth. Are we truthful? Even to those of us who have come out to help. Have we actually come to help, or have we come to take an advantage out of the people we are helping? Because if we are real, I mean, we would have solved the problem. How many organizations and societies are out here trying to do the same thing? If we cannot unite, then we don't have the same goal. Some of us may be the wicked ones. Yes. And I believe the ones who are bringing the solution don't have the strength to offer the solution equally. I think we should finish this conversation by rightfully dividing the truth from the lie. If we are out to help our own children, then let's help. Let's not add an insult to the injury. We are not helping. That's why we are doing this conversation. Viewers, that has been our time. You have heard it from people who are doing these marvelous works out there. You can't make this thing. There are people who do it every day. This is their bread. This is their water. This is what they breathe doing. You have heard it. Let's roll this conversation. Get into our social media pages. We are Smile Foundation Kenya. Let's hear what you will say. Thank you for your time. It has been well hosting you. My name is Robert Ogola. Let's meet next episode. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Asante.
Asante.
S1E5